Hi guys, welcome to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer Lori Lothian, and today I want to talk a little bit about this Pluto conjunction to Jupiter, which is happening on June the 3rd. And I want to talk about it in the context of the world, but also in the context of each of the signs. So check the all signs link below. Also, like, subscribe, and comment. It helps my channel grow. And I've got a sale on right now, so check the links below to my website. It's my Mars special for only $97, which is like super cheap. I pre-record that for you. It's 45 minutes or so, and it'll tell you about the next 6 months of how Mars in your chart, while it's going through Aries, will make your life hopefully more ambitious, action-oriented, getting things done, and where you want to focus your drive and ambition. And it will be very unique to your own chart. So check out the link below if that reading interests you or you'd like to gift it to a friend. All right, so to start out, you have to understand that Jupiter and Pluto are not just coming together in the sky on June 30th. Roughly 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is the exact moment of that conjunction at about 24 degrees of Capricorn, but that is also part of a longer narrative that runs about a year. So the first time that this happened, when they first joined together, was April the 4th, also at 24 degrees of Capricorn, and that's my birthday, so it's been an intense year. Now, Jupiter, and then the last time will be on November 12th. Jupiter and Pluto together in a natal chart can be a wealth yoga, a symbol of a place in your chart where you're likely to have some bounty, luck, opportunity, growth, and wealth. So it's not all bad when they come together as a general idea. In fact, one of my kind of favorite websites for its whimsy is called Astromatrix, and they actually, whoever created that site, have a wonderful delineation for Jupiter Pluto. They call it the alchemist signature, and I kind of like that because Pluto does transform, mutate, and mutations, transformation, and metamorphosis are kind of key Plutonian words. And Jupiter, of course, is the noble and lofty and sage-like part of us that we can access when we're looking for wisdom, justice, fairness, hope, faith, and optimism. And something about that word, the alchemist, kind of makes me feel, honestly, really kind of soothed about this Pluto-Jupiter action that's happening. One of my favorite astrologers, Patrick Watson, I really love his deep writing and research. Go check out his website. Did a really long exploration of the times that Jupiter and Pluto have come together in history, and he's corresponded those to things like the invention of the telescope, the invention of the Hubble telescope, the microscope, the scanning electron microscope, the first time somebody saw little wiggly squiggly things moving around in water in the 1700s, in other words, microscopic life. And that's because Pluto has been kind of given the moniker, the god that makes the big things small and the small things big. So even space adventure, landing on the moon during the 1968-69 Pluto conjunction to Jupiter was a part of the narrative. Now back then we had Uranus as well, which is, Uranus is like the wild exploring outside the bounds of our known world stuff, and that's why we were on the moon during that time. So this time we've got Saturn kind of playing around in the mix with Pluto and Jupiter, always kind of hanging out close by. So there's kind of a constrictive, restrictive nature to this, and we're all feeling that with COVID and the lockdown and the times we've been living through since that April 4th Pluto meeting Jupiter in the sky at 24 Capricorn. My feeling is that something good is trying to come out of this narrative for the collective, and that just like there has been great discoveries like the creation of like a telescope, a space telescope, the Hubble telescope, landing on the moon, I feel like we're trying to find something that's beyond a border. I think of Saturn as kind of like walls, borders, limits, constriction, space and karma, like time, bounds of time. And because we're all pressured in like carbon being pressured to become a diamond in this kind of alchemical stew of this pandemic, and let's face it, was likely to be a global recession, if not depression, what are we being like carbonized into? Like what kind of diamond is being created during this high pressure time? And Pluto, he is a god of the underworld, and Jupiter, the god of Mount Olympus. The two are brothers, really, in Greek mythology. What are they concocting for the collective? When Pluto, god at the top of the mountain, goes and hangs out with his brother in the underworld, what do they concoct together? It's going to be an interesting thing to find out, because we'll know the end of the story. We'll understand it more deeply as we round out the year and come to that last contact in November. I believe, oh my gosh, what is the date? I think it's November the 12th. Yeah, it is. Okay. Just before an eclipse, I think, on November 30th, a couple of weeks before that lunar eclipse on November 30th. So that's going to be interesting in its own right. And on November 14th, when I think about that, Mars is moving direct from his retrograde motion. So there's a lot going on in the middle of November, guys. Buckle up, buckle up. I'm going to leave you with this broad idea before I go to all signs. I'm wondering if maybe what we're seeing here is a kind of crucible of recreation, and we are kind of put all in a collective timeout from, you know, the standpoint of the earth and the big picture story, where what we were doing as a species clearly wasn't working. But rather than just be punished for it and have to muddle through what would look like a really bad you know what happens when you go to school and they put you in the after school thing because you miss class or something? You know that thing, right? Instead of it being punitive, maybe we're going to break through to something really powerful. Pluto and Jupiter being alchemical, like the alchemist piece. You know, again, it is a powerful wealth yoga. And in a natal chart, it can mean money, it can mean wealth. I find it interesting too, there's a star called Peacock that is at around 24 degrees, 23 degrees of Capricorn in the tropical zodiac. And I think that that's something to do with, I mean, Peacock has to do with intense emotions and displays. And it's often a constellation that has been associated with some capacity to ruffle one's big picture feathers out and get fame. But the Peacock's feathers also have all of those eyes on them, like the all-seeing eyes of the peacock feather, which comes from a Greek myth about Argus and, you know, how he was slain, and I think Zeus slayed him, or somebody slayed him, and then took all his eyes. Argus had all these eyes and made them a part of the peacock. The all-knowing eyes, you know. What is the all-knowing eyes? What could this Pluto and Jupiter on the constellation of the peacock actually be about? Because, you know, we're not all going to get famous because this is happening, or all going to shine our big peacock feathers out there. I have a feeling it's about that the myth of the eyes on the tail of the peacock. What are we all going to see, many, many eyes at once? And what could bring us a sense of alchemical transformation mixed with a little bit of faith, hope, and wonder? Because even though Jupiter's in Capricorn, where he's debilitated because he's in the house of his nasty dad who tried to eat him, you know, Saturn, I do feel that this combination this time, even though it is Pluto with less of his goodness, Santa Claus with half his reindeer, is going to try to bring a very beautiful silver lining to this whole year. And that doesn't mean there won't be hardship. And it doesn't mean that the stock markets won't crash, which they will. In fact, this Pluto-Jupiter combination on the 30th could be the end of the FACO bull market return based on the Federal Reserve Bank plowing and central banks plowing a ton of money artificially into the stock market to bolster the assets independent of the actual real world of what's going on with an economic downturn and massive unemployment and all of that. So we could see that the June 30th will be a swing, a capitulation down from what has been a return to the pre-COVID drop of the stock market in March, because that's not going to be sustainable, folks. So that corrective measure could very much be Pluto, death, Jupiter, buoyant optimism, death of the optimism. But I also think there's something beautiful, transcendent, alchemical, magical that's trying to happen. And I didn't mention this, but I should. And during all of this, there's the sextile from Neptune. There we get the transcendent, magical, other realms stuff coming through. And Neptune in Pisces is in a broad sextile to Jupiter-Pluto during this journey of these three passes during the year. Yeah, and that's optimistic. That's hopeful. Okay, so because Neptune, yeah, deception, delusion, illusion, and in Pisces, you know, that's where that viral problem has shown up. But I also kind of feel that Neptune can bring us a beautiful, transcendent, imaginal awareness, huge amounts of ability to access non-ordinary ideas and downloads, a huge visionary imagination that we as a collective can reimagine our world together. All right, moving on. My battery's low on my phone, so I'm going to really rip through this, guys. I'm just going to go very simply, each sign, where this is happening, where this conjunction of Pluto and Neptune, Pluto and Jupiter is happening. And don't forget, it's not a one-time deal. April 4th, June 30th, November 12th. It's a year-long process. Okay, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. It's in your 10th house of career. Okay, guys, this is all about your career taking off in a new, powerful, hope-filled, faithful way. Something is trying to break through and expand here. This is your quadrant of a little bit of wealth, the wealth of your 10th house. So if you have career ambitions and ideas, you can really access new levels here. Also remember that sextile year-long coming out of the Neptune quadrant in Pisces. Dream the big dream. Use your imagination. Go big with your visions. You Aries ascendants and also Sun and Moon have a lot of power in that career house right now. Taurus, this is in your 9th house of your long distance travel, hopes, dreams, and wishes. No, sorry, long distance travel, your connection to God, your connection to the divine, faith, religion. It could be higher education and book publishing part of the chart. If you have a spiritual guide or a mentor, that's where you're going to find that person. Now, during this time, the year-long journey of Pluto and Jupiter connecting, you know, as I said, April, June, and November, there's a longer sweep, a longer narrative trying to take place here that's about those themes that I delineated for you, Taurus. So Neptune's bringing some dreamy imagination, some, you know, big picture visionary qualities to what you might want to do, you Taurus ascendants, Sun and Moons, regarding those themes: foreign lands, book publishing, higher education. And if you're like, reimagine yourself in those areas, you know, revision them, because Pluto might want you to put a nail in the coffin of something. Like maybe that school's not for you. Maybe the book you're writing has to change dramatically. Maybe that foreign land you were thinking of isn't quite the right one. But new opportunity, Jupiter and Neptune, new dreams are coming up for you this year in those areas. Gemini, 8th house, get ready for a deeper dive into the underworld, because the 8th house is very much what is secret, what is hidden, what is not seen, and Pluto is that as well. So during this kind of year-long transit of April and June and November of Pluto-Jupiter conjunct in your 8th house, it's also not only is it secrets that may be revealed and, you know, a sense to envision a new world through the revealing of those secrets. What kind of new world? Neptune is in your career house, and it's been there for a long time. So you've been going, Gemini, through a lot of time of confusion about your career, but suddenly this wealth yoga in the 8th is sextiling that that Neptune in your career house. And so this can also bring you good money developments, because it could be hidden money or lost money or money under the surface or secret money that's going to come to the surface for you that will really enliven your career direction over the next year and allow you to dream a clear and consistent and beautiful vision for your career and not be so lost in the confusion of that Neptune in the 10th house. Because ultimately Neptune in your 10th house, I've got it there natally, so does J.K. Rowling, is a call to use magic, the author of the Harry Potter series, and visionary power in your career. And that's not natally true for you, Gemini ascendants, Sun, Moon, but it's true by the transit right now. Cancer. I'm just hoping my battery on my phone doesn't die before I finish this. Cancer, you guys, I have a 7th house activation with Neptune, you know, sextiling from the 9th house. So your 7th house is a house of relationship, Cancer, ascendant, Sun, and Moons. And there's a lot of this year, a lot of concentrated Jupiter-Pluto potential to excavate something very important. Like Pluto likes to dig under the surface, like miners, excavate something in the long-term committed monogamous area of your life. If you're single, that doesn't matter that you don't have somebody, that you're not married. It's that area of your chart where things are under investigation, a good Pluto word, and Jupiter wants you to discover something good, something bounteous, something optimistic. And the 9th house Neptune sextile means you could find love from a foreign land, or a lover in a foreign land, or a long-term committed partner from a distance or far away, or in an educational setting maybe as well. But it's a year-long transit, and or in an ashram or a spiritual center, you know, the 9th house. It's a year-long transit, guys. So it's a long, broad swath of changing up things to do with committed, monogamous, loving, connected relationships and or business partnerships in your life. All right, Leo, the 6th house is being activated by the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction throughout those April, June, and November time frames. And you're going to look at that as something that's being given a gift or a sextile energy from Neptune in your 8th house. Now for you Leo ascendants, sun and moons, Neptune in your 8th house has been being a very confusing time around things to do with, well, it could be taboo subjects, sex, death, politics, money. It could be some conflict there as well, because when there's confusion in a money house, our whole life can feel confused. You Leos have been going through a bit of a difficult time. Neptune in the money house could be delusions and illusions about your money, but it's been there for so long and it's other people's money, not seeing clearly about what's true about your spouse's money or the inheritance or the grant or the royalty check or the investment return, so really narrow your vision and get clear here. That's a bit of a wealth yoga going on here in your 6th house of your work, your right livelihood, your true calling, your place of service. So you Leo sun and ascendants, sun, moon, and ascendant people can really fine-tune something this year in your work environment to dig deeper for some greater wealth in the work you do in the world. You may even change the work you do in the world because of this transit. Virgo, this is happening in your natal 5th house. I'm going to squint at my battery. Am I going to make it? I don't know. And this natal 5th house is about your love life. And it's so funny because Neptune's in a sextile from your house of long-term committed love. It's not easy for you guys. This has been a journey. I don't even want to say how hard it's been for Neptune in the 7th house people. Virgo rising, Virgo sun and moon. You could be with a partner who has an addiction. You might be deluded and had rose-colored glasses about people for the last, oh my gosh, I don't know, 8 years. It's been tough to be connected in long-term monogamy with the right person. That's kind of changing because Neptune's past the halfway mark now of the transit through Pisces in your 7th. However, this is a very powerful year. The Pluto, the wealth yoga, that Pluto-Jupiter energy is bringing bounty and wealth and romance to you. And it's an a long journey of April, June, and the fall, right, November. So where are you growing some kind of beauty and wealth and transformative power in your love life, and also in your creativity and your children and pregnancy and childbirth and your artistry and your inspiration? Where are you inspired? And Jupiter Pluto there can bring breakthrough stuff, okay? I will get this down with a battery not dying. Libra, this is going to be a 4th house thing. It's the house of your home. Do you want to look at a different house? Seriously, Jupiter Pluto, the wealth yoga in the real estate part of your chart. It's also your ancestral line. It's also your parents. But where do you need to dig down? This is the underworld of the chart. This is where you go to mine underneath anyway. It's the land of the chart. It's the darkest part of the chart, the 4th house. And so this is happening there for you, Libra, sun, moon, and ascendants. And there's a sextile coming from the 6th house of work and right livelihood and health protocols. So there's a couple ways of looking at that, but one of the things I'd say is I think you guys could really dig up a treasure in the area of real estate and home. So it might be time to sell a home, it might be time to renovate or move. Jupiter Pluto, expand, grow, opportunity and luck. Pluto's like demolition. What do you need to demolish and change completely, about the place that you are anchored yourself in. It could dredge up some ancestral line stuff, especially around mom and dad, and bring you to terms with something that you discover, especially Pluto, some secretive hidden layer to your family ancestral line that you don't know about, but hey, it's going to be good because it will illuminate something and bring you some bounty in that 4th house. Scorpio, it's the 3rd house thing. Pluto, Jupiter together in the house of siblings and the house of short-term trips and travel. Yeah, I know. Good luck with that. In the house of speaking, teaching, writing, communicating, and divinating. It's your online world and social media and the things you do to sell and market and merchandise yourself online. For you Scorpios, 3rd house, Jupiter, Pluto, that's your wealth zone. Like if you've always been lofty and thought, I should write another book, that's the 9th house, the opposite side. Don't. Blog posts, videos, get out there, do your thing. Short-term education, seminars, workshops, weekend deals that you teach or you take. This is your bounty zone. This is where that little Jupiter-Pluto combination is stirring the pot for this year. And reminding you it's a 3-pronged process, April and June and then November. So we're in the middle of it. We're only at the 2nd act. So Scorpio, sun, moon, and ascendants, there's a 5th house activation with Neptune. Love has been challenging, love affairs. Neptune's been kind of meandering. You're not seeing things clearly. He's been there for, 8 years. So you haven't been seeing clearly the love affair stories of your life that long. However, Dream love, dream partner, dream romance is possible here. Dream project, dream idea, dream business idea. Creativity that's like coming from another realm, channeling something from beyond yourself can happen with Neptune there. And so Neptune sextiles this transformation energy in your third house. What new creative enterprise do you want to launch or build? I mean, fifth and third together could mean you're launching a whole new independent business of your very own that's really high ticket imagination and super deep and super profound thanks to Neptune. Alchemical, you know? Okay, moving on. I'm going to make this cut before I lose my power on my phone. Sagittarius, second house is where Pluto and Jupiter are coming together in your chart. April, June, and then in November. It's a longer story, and that second house is your money house. It's just so simple. It's your voice. It's what you say. It's what you eat. Put in your mouth what you drink. So the throat, the voice. So you might have to revolutionize those protocols in your life, but it's also your self-worth, your self-possession, how you value yourself and what your values are, and thereby also your possessions and the money you create and the income you bring to your life. It's kind of like the zone of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like getting all those needs met: food, shelter, water, money. So Jupiter Pluto is a wealth yoga in a money house. So yay! Your money's going to take off, or your ways of making money are going to be reinvented, and bringing a little Santa Claus of Jupiter, missing some reindeer in Capricorn, along with that Pluto reinvention as well. What might you discover underneath the surface of your reality and your life about money that has always been waiting for you to find? I like to think of investigation, discovery, and digging up treasure as very Plutonian. He's the god of the underworld, and there's always something under the surface to be found. And then Sag, a sextile from Neptune's out of your home, your real estate, your family line, your ancestral line. So money regarding family, mom and dad, could be very pertinent over the next year. And then from the fourth house, do you have any land that you can move, sell, rent out, change, renovate? I mean, anything you do. Neptune's been moving through the land house for you for like 7 or 8 years. And so you might have a hard time settling down and feeling like you belong. You big dream the big dream. I'm so at one with life when I'm in Bali. Yeah, but could you really live there? You'll get to more clarity on that question this year. Where am I supposed to anchor myself? That's not a delusion, but in which I can capture a sense of spiritual oneness with the land and harness my imagination there as well. Capricorn, it's a first house thing. Jupiter, Pluto in your first house. You guys are being reinvented. You are being reinvented. Your whole identity, your avatar, the way you look, what you do, what you think, who people think you are. This is huge. There's like a yoga of wealth and abundance, but Jupiter, Pluto saying, the deeper you go into yourself and understand who you really are, the greater abundance and juice you're going to bring to the world and to everything you touch. It's intense. I'm not going to mince words. This could be right on your ascendant for all I know. Or if you have a sun right there on that Jupiter-Pluto conjunction at 24 degrees of Capricorn. So yeah, take a few magnesium pills, sip a martini if it chills you out a bit, because this is not an easy time, but it is a perfectly wonderful time to transform alchemically who you are in the world. And then you're going to get that third house generation of the sextile from Neptune, where he's been for 3 years. Siblings, short-term trips and travel, the neighborhood, sometimes your aunts and uncles belong there. It could also be about things that you want to learn, like online or seminars, workshops. It is a house of the goddess. It has to do with divination for that reason. So Neptune in that house for you for a long time now could have brought you to a greater awareness of some of the magical divinatory powers that you might be able to access through others or your own self. I'm not going to mince words there. Neptune is in the house of siblings, so this could be a sibling with suddenly developing some illnesses or mental challenges that you're going to deal with as well during this year. But do really well with it, because there's power in that Pluto, Jupiter on your ascendant energy, okay? Or on your sun or moon. Okay, so then we go to the Aquarius energy, me, Aquarius risings. You guys are having this in your 12th house. Okay, well, it's really subtle, right? It's your dreams at night, your meditations, it's, self-undoing and stuff. So I've been like on multiple cleanses, alcohol-free, super smoothies, juices during this whole COVID time. And it's really been helpful to have Jupiter and Pluto together in my 12th house, actually. I've never been eating cleaner. I've never been more on my game. My teacher at Chutababa said that when he gets certain energies in his 12th house, it's Mars for him, I think now, that he gets really down with his protocols for exercise. I think it was one of his videos, and I laughed out loud. I find that most transits through my 12th are clean up my act. Okay, so now this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction there this year for us Aquarius risings and then Sun and Moon is a chance for us to really clean up our self-undoing, our karmic habits and patterns, and to take note of our dreams at night especially. I mean, there is a sextile coming from our second house of earnings, and it's been challenging for all of us Aquarius risings, because that sextile from of Neptune to the second house, whoa, it's like we've had all these delusions over the last 8 years and fantasies about how to make money, and a lot of them didn't work out. And then as Neptune about 1.5 years, 2 years ago began to cross the halfway mark, we suddenly figured out, oh, Neptune, you want me to make money in a spiritually authentic way that has a greater mission for the collective that connects to divine power. Oh, I get it now. So that goodness of Neptune in the second house is working with the cleaning up of that 12th house. Now, if you have a hidden enemy or anything like that, which, you know, some of us do, I mean, not outright trolls, just secret enemies, I do think that this is a good time for them to like fall away, because I think there's power in that Jupiter-Pluto. And I think that sweet sextile from Neptune will take off our rose-colored glasses about people who really don't have our back, and they might not even be that secretive. They might be actually just our enemies, so we might just let those sorts of people go. The passive-aggressive subversives of our life. I don't have any, but you might. All right, moving on. Last but not least, Pisces, 11 and 1. So this is happening in your 11th house. The conjunction is coming together in the house that is known as good luck, good fortune, good spirit, pennies from heaven, hopes, dreams, and wishes. You couldn't ask for a better round of conjunctions, you Pisces rising, Sun and Moon. This is the time to actualize your highest dreams. Pluto, power, Jupiter, opportunity, boom. A wealth yoga in a house that is so powerful. And Jupiter's in his joy in your 11th house. Is he? Yes. So he's even though he's in Capricorn, he's got joy strength there. So you got a lot of goodness this year. You'll find money working out for better for you in ways that you might not expect. It is windfalls and pennies from heaven. It's our karmic reward house, basically, from the debt we can pay off in the 6th house. You also have Neptune in your 1st house, and so you Pisces rising have been really confused about your whole self for the last 7-8 years. Now that's turning around. You're owning your own inner mystic, your own inner Imagineer, and your own power of your own sacred and awakened imagination in the last 2 years as Neptune's got through the halfway mark. So confusion might have been a big deal. On your ascendant, Neptune could have brought you really weird and strange health issues over the last 7 years that are finally clearing up, and now you're moving forward. I would say for you Pisces ascendants, and then of course by derived things, Sun and Moon, count your blessings. Things are going to look really good for you, especially if you want to expand your social reach and influence the 11th house, and friends and allies and benefactors will like bow before you to help